At this place in history, we are in Ripton, Vermont, at the site where the first national Christmas tree was cut and shipped to Washington, D.C. during the Coolidge administration. And filling in for Steve Perkins is Amanda Gustin, the public program manager at the Vermont Historical Society. Amanda, talk to me about this place.
So as you said, the Coolidge administration, right? Calvin Coolidge, very famously a son of Vermont from Plymouth, Vermont, is president of the United States. And there's this guy who's a press aide in the Commerce Department. His name is Frederick Fiker. And he comes up with the idea, he says, you know what's the hot new thing this season? Christmas lights, electric Christmas lights. So he comes up with this idea to decorate a national Christmas tree on the grounds, outside the grounds of the White House. He's got the idea of like a really big tree, tons of lights, make a really big public statement about how electric Christmas lights can make for a really exciting holiday season. So he goes to the administration and Coolidge okays it. They call up Middlebury College and President Paul Moody of Middlebury College at that time. And they come up here. They come to the campus of the Breadloaf School of English, which is part of the much, much larger, almost 15,000 acres of the Battelle Wilderness. Just surrounds us where we are up here. And they go out into the woods with a guy named Colonel Theodore Woolsey, who is a forester and a decorated Army officer, retired. And they go out and they find a balsam fir tree that's somewhere between 35 and 50 feet tall. The newspapers all reported a little bit differently. But they go out and find what they've decided is the perfect tree. The president of Middlebury College makes the first cut with the axe. They bring it by horse and wagon all the way down what's now Route 125, down into Middlebury itself, down into, if you've been into Middlebury, down to that Marble Works area, which is where there's a marble company that has two things that they need next. A crane that's capable of lifting a 35 to 50 foot tree and access to the railroad lines. So they lift the tree out of the wagon, they put it on a special express car, and it gets shipped down to Washington, D.C., where it arrives a little bit later, and they erect it on what's called the ellipse, which is part of the grounds of the White House. They add the electric lights that Frederick Fiker wanted on the tree, 3,000 electric lights. On Christmas Eve, Calvin Coolidge, he doesn't give a speech, he just, famously a man of few words, he just flips the switch, and then the first national Christmas tree lights up.
Wow. And it's true that it all started with President Coolidge, this tradition here.
So it goes over really well. People love the National Christmas Tree. They do pageants around it. There are choral concerts. People come and see it and marvel at the lights. They do press releases about all the technology it took to make it work. So it's a huge hit. So next year, they say, we definitely have to do this again. And Coolidge says, it feels kind of wasteful to cut down an enormous, 50-foot tall tree and ship it from somewhere every single year. So he's against the idea of having a tree at all. So what they do is they source a live tree that they dig up, they carry the root ball, they package up the root ball, they bring it, and they plant it roughly where that first one was in 1923. And in the almost century since then, there have been a tree or a number of trees in that roughly that same spot. Sometimes they've been live trees, and over years those have died, and sometimes they've had to cut new ones, and it's a little bit more complicated from there. But the tradition did get started with Calvin Coolidge from Vermont and that Christmas tree from here on the grounds of Breadloaf.
At this place in history.